Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Bromptons Fine and Rare Instruments for their auction based in the UK. And this sale is due to finish tomorrow, the 7th of June. I think the first lot is kind of starting about 1 p.m. or finishing at 1 p.m. There are 229 items in this auction, some quite interesting things. I believe that the buyer's premium for this auction is 20%. We are joined by Max, our legend of the French violin scene.
Hello, everyone. It's me again.
Yeah, here's the knowledge master is here. So without further ado, let's just crack on, as there are quite a few things, and looks like we're starting with some bows. So here we have an English gold-mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, probably the most regarded English bow maker, 3,000 to 5,000. The estimate, a few bids on that so far. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Francois Lott. I just keep on seeing a lot of bows at the moment from the French, but it makes sense given their how high in regard the French bows are. An English silver-mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons. We've seen quite a few of those recently. A German silver-mounted violin bow by Johann Christian Suess. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Nicolas Malin. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori. So this is a big money, 15 to 18,000, 58 grams. This is a new thing I didn't notice before, but maybe I'm just blind. Just saying that while Bromptons will endeavour to provide basic condition reports from requests for bows under £1,000, we will not accept responsibility for condition issues where any damage may be hidden under the thumb grip, lapping, or in any other way obscured and not immediately visible to the naked eye. I don't remember that, but maybe I've just not read it before.
What do they mean by under 1,000? Because this one is definitely not under 1,000, and they have a condition report for it.
I guess that this must just be a generic template footnote that they have for every bow. And so I don't think it applies to this one because this one's very. What's that?
Well, I thought probably they're too scared to remove it. I don't know if you actually go view the bow in person, would they let you remove the frog and stuff?
Yeah, I would have thought that you can kind of like undo the button and the screw and kind of take the frog out, but they definitely wouldn't let you undo the lapping or the grip or anything like that. So,
but
bro,
for bows, does it affect value if you kind of replace the thumb grip and all of those?
I'm not sure about the thumb grip, but a lot of times, sometimes people do mention the bows have like the original lapping sometimes. So, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that might add some value to like a historic example of a bow. I'm not sure if it matters normally, but people do sometimes mention that, so it must have some importance. It says very good throughout, except for damage to the head at point and break to the cheek on player's side. Also, deep scratch to handle. Interesting. You can see a bit of interesting things going on here.
Yeah, that's nasty. Like, don't they need some sort of graft to kind of finish the tip?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what would be done there. Definitely looks a bit curious.
Yeah. Well, it's at least in playing condition.
Exactly.
Sure yeah.
Although look here, you can see that the wedge is kind of popping out a bit.
Yeah. I have a theory on how this happened. The player probably hit something while doing some sort of violin bow techniques.
Yeah,
when they're playing like crazy and they just hit it. And it's just kind of sad if you're playing on the soccer and you hit something.
But yeah.
But typically Pernambuco are some of the hardest wood out there. It's gotta be some pretty serious hits.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth looking at that one in person, I would say. And just another quick note to say this is similar to Terezio, the first person to bid, and if you kind of win, the buyer's premium gets reduced from 20% to 2%. So that's quite useful. A French nickel-mounted violin bow by Nicolas Mayer, 10 to 15,000. Interesting eye there. Good old Raffin certificate there. Our friend, the Raffin certificate. French nickel-mounted bow by Charles Nicolas Bazin. The workshop of Bazin must have kind of churned out so many bows. An English silver-mounted violin bow, probably by John Dodd. 12 to 800, 50 grams. It's got that kind of upturn that you're not a massive fan of on the head.
Well, this one actually looks pretty good, I guess. At least it's all streamlined, you know.
It flows.
Yeah.
Definitely flows. A good silver-mounted violin bow, probably German. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori.
That's interesting. This one has a much lower estimate than the last set.
Yeah, I mean, look at the what's going on here with the frog. It's had some really horrific repairs.
That's nasty.
I'm not even sure what glue is being used there. It's pretty, looks a bit wrong. But the actual stick it needs a bit of a repair at the front, but the stick.
The tip is in there. Well, it's a handle in poor condition with very poor repair.
Yeah.
Frog also very poorly repaired with wear. Can you actually reverse these repairs? Like if you find a good, bow repair, I don't know exactly how poor it is. Like someone glued it with super glue or something.
I mean, I guess you can, yeah, but it takes like a long time. So the restoration would be quite expensive. It does depend what kind of glue they've used and stuff. So,
yeah,
but you can see, yeah, you can see the split down the stick there. So it's seen better days. So I'm not surprised that the estimate is so low for that one.
But I think at least that the tip is in better condition than the previous one.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's not too bad. People are bidding on it anyway, but within the estimate, so there's something in it there. I mean, the
But it's so interesting that without any certificate, Brompton are able to tell that this is definitely a Sartori. I mean, I know nothing about both. There's got to be something that makes it very obvious.
Yeah, I think stylistically it's probably quite clear, and it has remnants of the stamp as well. So, yeah, but you're right, it doesn't kind of have the actual certificate, but there must be enough traits to make it fairly certain. And another English silver-mounted bow by Hill and Sons. 61 grams there. Looks in pretty good condition. An interesting silver-mounted violin bow by Adolf Suess after James Tubbs. Certificate from Moaning and Sons there. A German silver-mounted. Say that again.
Oh, it's like the previous one sounds like a good deal for just £2,000.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, there were no bids on it so far. So, yeah, very minor. The frog is pretty bad. You see the cracks here, but could be worse. I mean, the stick is probably the main thing you want to be kind of concerned about. It looks in pretty good condition. So, yeah, definitely potential. A German silver-mounted violin bow by Albert Nürnberger.
I see a little splits on the stick as well.
Oh yeah, there's probably some interesting stuff going on there, and the frog is in a bit of a shape. Yep. Hence the kind of lower estimate there. French nickel-mounted violin bow, workshop of Francois Picat. Good throughout. So there you go.
I hope the neighbor's dog is not making a voice cameo here.
Oh yeah, I could hear it a little bit, but it sounds like almost like a weird ghost kind of thing in the background. It's quite interesting. Yeah. We have a ghost, a third opinion. Maybe the dog will just kind of say if it kind of likes a bow or doesn't, or likes an instrument. An English silver-mounted violin bow by Hill and Sons. It is like so common. Like over here, the hill bows, there really are a lot of them floating around, but they're just good and reliable, I think. Another English silver mounted violin bow by Hills. It's a bit of a plainer one, low on stick, has serious damage, repairs in top quarter, has been covered up with dark varnish, so impossible to see extent of damage. Frog good, but with badly filed thumb production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, oh boy, I don't even know if the estimate is worth it. Because I remember for one in good condition, it should run you just at around 2,000.
Yeah, it's possible. You can get some of the lower ones at 2000. It just depends like what this one kind of was on the scale originally. I think this is one of the not especially kind of high end ones anyway, but yeah, I think this does seem a bit worrying. Well, no one's bidden on it so far, so probably makes sense. Property of the late David Stevenson, a fine French silver mounted violin bow by Nicholas Simon. Yeah, this is getting into that territory, 18 to 25,000. Bernard Millant certificate from 1980.
Definitely heard of this bow maker, though I feel like I have to say this every time that I've not studied bows. So, like, not even take my words with a grain of salt. Just take my words as jokes. I just say whatever I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Simon definitely, like Nicholas Simon, definitely a good, very good maker, and this is apparently in very good condition. So, it's expensive, but I think that's a good bow, and that's the kind of going rate.
Sold with a Milan certificate. I wonder if this is even from the Milan collection that they sold off a few years ago.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely possible. Property of the late David Stevenson, again, a fine English golden tortoiseshell mounted violin bow by the Hills Workshop. So this is the high end kind of hill bows, 8 to 12,000. So it's a lot
About
of
the tortoise shell thing. I think I like how Brompton give you some more information about that.
yeah, that's always good. Yeah, as I say to people, just kind of check it out. Really, depend if you're buying it in the UK and you're just floating around the UK. Yeah, why not? I'm sure it's a wonderful bow, but I would be a bit hesitant if I was a traveling professional musician.
Yeah.
But yeah, these fleur de lis hill bows are like some of the higher ones, I believe.
Yeah, that's some nice fitting. Like that's like rose gold. I mean, at least they call them rose gold in the world of luxury goods. I don't know exactly what kind of gold that is, but I definitely like this kind of gold compared to the yellow gold. That's some
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I
That's just
think this is definitely kind of a high end hill bow for sure. So
some very beautiful looking one.
yeah. So basically, it's in very good condition, just some wear to the thumb projection you can kind of see, which makes sense, really. It's where it's going to wear. So one bid of 7,000 and the reserve is not met, which makes sense because this is probably quite a fine bow. Another David Stevenson property of bow, a violin bow by James Tubbs, made for the Hills and Sons, 6 to 8,000 here, very good. Some Pernambuco has been lost to the underside of the head at some point in its history. So it's curious. 60 grams. Yeah, Tubbs, a very good maker. Another property of David Stevenson, fine French silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori. So here we can see a very good example, other than if some repairs to the frog, minor damage to the underside, but look, 18 to 25,000. It's a definitely a fine example. See the head's in a better condition.
Sometimes I really wonder if super random thought, like if I take my modern bow to these auction houses, what would they think it is? Because I have people making very wild misattributions to my modern bow.
Well, give it a go sometime and just see. Yeah, see what
Yeah,
people think. Why not? It's always good to have a bit of
yeah,
fun.
learning experience.
Exactly. Another David Stevenson property of very fine chased golden ebony mounted violin bow by Tubbs, 15 to 18,000, 59 grams. Excellent throughout, exception a small pin crack to the back of head. So this is in quite exceptional condition, really.
Yeah, like those carved fittings as well.
Yeah, a few more pictures here. This is very, very fancy. Even the faceplate, really, really fancy work. Yeah, very nice. I'm not a massive fan of gold mounted things, as I may have mentioned, but that is actually quite a nice example. At least a couple of people loosely interested in that. One more bid to meet the reserve. Yep, nice example. Another property of David Stevenson, fine French silver mounted bow by Alfred Lamy, pair, 15 to 18,000 again. Very good throughout. A beer receipt this time. Receipts are sometimes interesting. You can see what there you go. £1,750 was paid in 1982 for this bow, and now the valuation is 15 to 18,000. So, in 40 years, it's definitely gone up a fair bit. Although no bids so far. Let's carry on. Another David Stevenson property, fine English silver and tortoiseshell mounted violin bow by Hills and Sons, 4 to 6,000. Very good, minor wear to the tortoiseshell. This bow is in very good condition. I think if you're other than the tortoiseshell, but if you're a player in the UK, it could be a nice bow to try out. Property of David Stevenson again, a gold mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, but without the kind of ornamentation. Yeah.
I really started to like these rose gold uh mountings.
This one has some leather over the stick
Yeah.
here, so there's probably some wear. There's been some wear up there.
I just hope that's not a repair, or it doesn't look like repair since even the condition report says that everything's good for this one.
I think this is, if you took this off, you'd probably see like a kind of divot here where it's been worn from playing, which is probably a good sign in a way that this is quite a good bow. I've seen quite a few sticks with this leather to protect it, basically, just to stop it from wearing any further. So, but yeah, it could be a good bow. Oh, we're on to violins
Here
now.
we go.
So, a fine Italian violin by Romeo Antonazzi, Milan, or Milan even, 1914, 25 to 35,000 is the estimate. Violin retains its original neck.
I just like how first violin lock they're already hitting us with an Antoniazzi.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just straight in there. Interestingly, has a Beziak certificate from 1969 there. Length of back 357, so it's a little bit longer, but yeah, straight in with a kind of a higher end example there.
It has a table sound post crack that's been patched.
Yeah, and then a few F-hole cracks and down at the bottom as well.
The back looks extremely complete, so
Yeah, looks like a good example, and I'm sure that will probably sell. Reserve not met yet, but I'm sure it will probably get there. A fine violin after Grancino, 6 to 10,000, the estimate. 356 on the back.
want to take a guess what violin this is?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
it's got condition issues. The peg box cracks, peg cracks, the bushing. The bushings have been redone, so the pegs have been relocated, but still some cracks around them. Seems to be a neck graft, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if the neck is at the right angle because they don't show you the side,
Yeah,
which is
that's true.
something to mention about this auction. I would always prefer that they show the sides. Just such an important thing because you want to look at the arching, the setup. You can't see that at all from the front. So I don't know if some of these auctions are intentionally doing it or just they're just being lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe they're expecting that people that would be interested would request a kind of private video viewing potentially.
Yeah. Well, I assume this is probably like a 19th century or probably even 20th century copy of Ganchino.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been ruined a little bit, so there's a lot of repair and it looks probably even a little older. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of people interested in it though, so it looks like it may well sell.
Well, if one of them thinks it's a real Ganchino, they'll like bid it to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A Scottish violin, probably by Matthew Hardy, Edinburgh, circa 1820. 357 back.
This is your kind.
Yeah, I do like this. It's quite
Yeah, it's interesting that at this time, ever since the late 18th century, it's already pretty common to have a modern neck. I assume this is the original scroll. There's a little bit of a graft here on the scroll as well.
yeah. Well, they haven't they haven't said that it's not original, so small post cracking table, so that might not have been repaired with a patch or so.
Yeah, may have to ask him about it.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Although I think there are some thoughts these days about really if it is wise to do an invasive patch, or if not, if there's other ways that you can do the repair. Obviously, like repairs come undone over time, but if you can do the repair without kind of removing so much material from the instrument, I think there are ongoing, probably for a long time, there have been discussions about that.
This could be a historical thing where, I mean, it's still generally believed that for a structural crack, like sound posts or bass bar, especially sound posts, because there's so much pressure exerted on it, the crack will have a tendency to open itself back up, which means on the back, even if you have a patch, it's gonna push it open. But on the front, because of the grain, you can have a patch there to kind of redistribute the pressure so the post doesn't push the crack back open.
Yeah.
But and kind of to retain the original shape of the front, you had to dig in and add a patch. But I'm pretty sure if you add a patch on top that extrudes out a little bit structurally, it's gonna work the same as a sound post crack and it's nowhere near as invasive. But I don't think that's done very commonly. Yeah, another concern probably is there is a standard for how long your sound post should be. If your patch comes out a little bit, it means you had to fit a shorter sound post to it. Which I don't know if a lot of luthier would be comfortable with that because you also have an angle issue and all of those. That's probably why they would want to put a patch there normally. But I don't know where the new development, the restoration field. I assume this violin is holding up. I don't know. You guys had to see the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's interesting to know what people might think in the future about what's the correct kind of repair for these various issues. A fine English violin by John Lott II, London, circa 1850, after Stradivarius. Length of back 358. Sold certificate of John Dilworth, 2021.
New certificate. Very cool. Well, there's a back crack, but that's some bad repair right there. I mean, that's whoever buys this probably want to spend a few more £1,000 to get it redone, but
yeah, that needs a bit of work. 20 to 30,000 is the estimate.
That's definitely a nice instrument, a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think like John Lott was like quite a regarded maker actually. So in terms of English instruments, that's a very kind of fine instrument for sure. Like you said, needs a bit of attention to this back crack again to clean it up to make it less visible, but otherwise the rest of it doesn't look too bad.
This is the kind where you can go out and tell people that you play on the Strat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, from afar. Yeah,
Especially the back. I think the imitation is a pretty decent imitation. Though the corner works is not exactly Stradivarian, but it definitely looks quite nice.
yeah, it's a nice looking instrument. I definitely agree. A fine French violin by Pierre Sylvestre, Lyon, 1830. Rumpel certificate, 360. It's in the dreaded 360 zone.
Mm. It's just so interesting to see the kind of wood that the French would use. It's always so similar.
Yeah,
They like these how do you call them? Big, like wide grain maples.
yeah, the highly figured flame, basically. Yeah, which is very different to some of the Italian kind of backs, especially like the Naples stuff, where it's always like a little bit wild on the back.
And from my experience, I can guarantee this instrument the varnish looks better in person.
Mm.
This is like the one I told you about before, where originally it's a beautiful red varnish, but after time it turned almost black or purple.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
If you look at the video, it's almost red. Um, these kind of instruments polished up look really good.
Mm. Yep.
But yeah, this one also has a sound post crack.
Yeah, you can see that it looks quite dark, doesn't it, on the video? So, yep, interesting. Okay, so an Italian violin by Massimo Negroni, who we see quite often. Sold with certificate of the maker, 356.
Well, hate to say this, but the varnish is just mediocre for this one. For an Italian violin, you would expect something a little better than this.
Yeah, it's not, this particular example is not screaming out to me, I'm afraid. An Italian violin by Alessandro Milani, Novara, 2013. So from the same period as the Negroni, 356 back certificate as well. It's very standard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this one probably look a little, stereotypically Italian, but I don't know if it's because the photography, but the varnish almost look, I don't know, a little had that like mass-produced vibe. But the corner works, it looks like the Italians have even abandoned a little bit of their own tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a curious one. There's a certificate where it looks noticeably different in color, which we often see.
Yeah, so I thought for some of these pictures, the photography really alter a little bit on how they actually look. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this varnish looks completely different in person.
Yeah.
Because Brompton is, I would call them they make everything look a little yellower.
Yeah, definitely. This one definitely looks very yellow in their pictures, like way more yellow than I would expect. I'd expect it to be more like this in person, like red and kind of with amber parts.
Yeah, a good modern Italian varnish would definitely be, somewhere between the complete French red to the complete yellow. That they'll put multiple layers on them, so and pretty transparent as well.
Yep, I quite like this certificate. It's quite good information. Quite laid out.
Wax seal as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. I might just start issuing certificates for nothing just to make certificates. Why not? A contemporary Italian violin by Luigi Occoli, Pistoia, 2019.
They're interesting
355.
that across all these auctions we've been looking at, there's just an insane amount of modern Italian.
Interesting top here. It's very wavy. This is an interesting choice. Um,
Yeah.
I have been told that this can cause problems sometimes with cracks because you get irregular kind of cracks and it can be quite difficult sometimes to repair. So in the future, I mean, if you look at the, even right in the center, there's this kind of wavy grain.
It could be an aesthetic choice for whatever instrument this guy's copying, but I don't think this looks like an exact copy of anything. I know it's a Dejesu model, so. But personally, I'm actually quite glad that luthiers are willing to go for this kind of aesthetic in terms of wood. It definitely make it look very interesting. And this is probably like the most Italian looking out of the past three lots. I really like this. Yeah.
It's got the kind of bee sting going on quite
Yeah,
clearly.
the corner works are much more characteristic than the previous one. But of course, this one is also slightly antique.
Yeah, that's an interesting looking one.
Yeah.
Speaking of interesting, here's an interesting violin. Oh,
Nice.
352 back. That's quite good. Branded internally, with a double-headed eagle holding an arrow in its claw set within a circle above cat. That's a bit
Yeah, well,
curious.
that's Carlo Antonio Testore.
So,
So if anyone thinks this is a real Testore, it's a pretty good deal, I guess. It's almost like that eBay Testore we saw.
well, so far, no one is that interested in it, I'm afraid.
I wouldn't be surprised if this actually turns out to be Milan, because it definitely looks kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've seen Italian violins in this shape.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that I would buy, but not at that price.
Yeah, if it's $250, I'm sure you'd be buying it.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was bargain bucket, then I'd be there. But this is a bit too much for me. But yeah, it is interesting to me, but not at that price point.
Given the table, I would even think that it's a little hard to dendro this thing. But I think it's still
Yeah.
possible. There are quite some grains on the treble side, but on the
Yeah,
bass,
exactly.
yeah, that's some wide grain right there. Could be
Definitely.
even from like two different pieces of wood.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
Yeah, because if it's cut off from one, because you can tell this is a two-piece front because you can see a joint in the middle. But if it is cut from the same wedge, they should have a very similar grain pattern, but this one doesn't. So no wonder why it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's definitely I agree with that. I think it is. Now a fine Italian violin by Enrico Marchetti, Turin, 1917, 18 to 25,000. A Florian Leonhard certificate, 353 back.
I don't know if it's just me that I have a feeling these machetes have gone up in value because I remember even just a few years ago you can buy them on Turisio for like 8,000 US dollar or so.
Maybe these are investments of the future.
Yeah,
Get it now before it's 100,000.
yeah. This is your very, very typical early 20th century Italian. They're a little rough, got these like orangey varnish. The varnish almost looked like the Antoniazzi we just saw.
I quite like the varnish actually. It's not too, yeah, I don't mind that. Yep, looks interesting. And onwards, a good French violin by Charles Jacquat, Paris, circa 1850, 358.
So a few peg bushings, neck graft, but overall pretty good condition. Nothing too funny.
Yep, not too bad. An interesting composite violin, possibly Italian, 357 back.
This is my type. If I had a cash, these are like I would call them. I wouldn't use the word, but I was saying like I pick up trashes.
Right, okay, yeah.
my kind of trash.
This is like the gambler's lot, isn't it? This is
Yeah, well,
kind
not
of like,
yeah, not even gamble because you know it's a composite. You just probably hope that either the front or the back is made by some because I remember for certain instruments they're able to attribute like exactly attribute the front and the back separately. But from the look of this one, I don't even know how old the back is or how old the front is. I doubt it's older than 1800, but that's just my opinion.
yeah. Interesting. It's had a whole chunk of new wood there by the F hole.
Damn, yeah.
A lot of repairs as well.
But there's no samples crack, which is quite interesting.
Mm,
And the back is very complete.
yeah. And it's a bit strange.
Yeah, and do you think if the scroll has been grafted? I couldn't quite tell what's going on there.
Yeah, it does kind of look like it just here in this line.
Yeah.
You can see like a line there, but it's hard to see where else it kind of goes, but I
There's
think so.
Yeah, there's nothing written on the condition report.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Doesn't look like it from the front, so maybe it's just a bit misleading. Yeah, not quite sure.
And you know what I think? I even think that the scroll doesn't match with the body stylistically. The scroll looks like a much more modern scroll. The
Mm,
body looks slightly older. And I honestly, this could be one of those rare examples that the front is older than the back, because you can see the front is using these older, thicker purflings, much more like worn out. But the back, you see these thin ebony fitting,
mm,
these thin ebony purfling in much better condition. It could be like a new instrument made for an old front.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
the
think
scroll is actually in very good condition. These are like original peg holes as well.
I think that you can see the scroll is grafted if you look at the zoom, but it's kind of comes in very close to the nut. So if you
Yes.
follow my line and then it comes in here and then it like drops down and then flares up.
Yeah, I can see like over here, kind of.
And if you look at the front view of the scroll as well, yeah, exactly. If you look very close to the nut, you can kind of see at least on the right hand side where it looks like it comes in like a quite a sharp angle actually.
Yeah. Yes, now
But
you can tell why this one is also interesting.
yeah, but that could also be misleading, but it definitely looks like it. Yep, another good one for good old Bromptons. Interesting lots. Here we go. A Spanish violin by Fernando Solar Gonzalez, Madrid, 1971. 358, 2 to 4,000. Always like to see Spanish violins. Not sure that I'm too keen on that purfling, but
Yeah, the purple one is a little rough, but overall it's pretty clean. I mean, from a luthier point of view, there's improvements to be made, but you don't see a Spanish violin every day.
no. So it's good to see that. A violin, Brompton's favorite, a violin, labeled Monzino and Figli. Length of back 359, so it's quite big.
That's how they sold mine a few years ago. I think this is French, but I can't tell for sure, because if I remember right, even if this is I remember there's like a firm that's a similar name. I don't know if that's Monzino. Oh, there you go, Antonio Monzino and Sons. Yeah, they're the one who imported other instruments, I believe. But I don't know if this is even an original label or a fake label.
Mm.
It could be like a French trade violin or so.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of these on eBay. I would say 700 to 1,000, maybe even a little too high for this. just my opinion.
Yeah. So no takers so far on that one. An Italian violin by Guido Albarini. Cremona, 1987, 357 back, 3 to 5,000.
Here's your. I was gonna say your modern Cremonese school, but I'm taking that back. This is actually stylistically more similar to early 20th century Italian, like the Marchetti and the Antoniazzi we just saw.
Yeah, I think kind of getting on to kind of nearly 35 years or so, I think things have changed a bit, I think, in the Cremonese school.
Yeah, compared to the modern or contemporary Cremonese violin we just saw, stylistically they're very, very different. And this will be the kind of what I call a 20th century Italian violin, not the kind of newer ones we just saw.
Yep. But it'd be interesting to someone, I'm sure. No bids so far, though, I'm afraid. An Italian violin by Cesare Topetti, Toldi, 2006. Labeled as such, length of back 358 millimeters. Has a bit of an odd kind of crack there.
Oh, good old Brompton. If I notice something interesting, if you look at the scroll picture, it's completely out of focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting.
And here's what I think. If you have like 200 something lots to photograph, you'd probably be like, ah, screw it. Good enough.
Is it me, or is the neck extremely thin behind the nut?
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
It's just a bit odd.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little problematic.
I'm not sure about the varnish on this. Also, the bee stings just seem a bit over the top.
Yeah, it's almost like amateurish, and the F hole has a lot of I would say artistic freedom that went into it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're not 100% sure about this one.
The name almost ring a bell, but I don't quite remember, and it doesn't look like too fine of an example. Well, of course, you can't just say that nowadays based on how the violin look. But yeah, this is interesting.
Yes, I think we need to be careful. We're not sure, but this does seem very odd how thin this neck is right there. That just is a bit bizarre to me.
All right, here's our favorite coming up next.
Oh, is it? Oh, a very interesting violin. Yes, I do love these. Length of back 354, so that's not too bad. Quite a few repairs, bit of worm damage. Soundpost patch in table. The table, probably Northern Italy, circa 1730. The later back ribs and scroll, probably Low Counties. So that's kind of quite interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm afraid that there's, although I can't see the side, a good chance you need like new necks and stuff for this one. Seems to be coming down a little thin,
Yeah.
Some nasty grafts on the scroll as well.
Yeah, there's some weird things kind of going on there, aren't there?
And the back, some of these artificial antiquing almost look like one of your like German violin that have these sort of, but I would say it's actually very well made. They must have a really hard time telling what this actually is.
Yeah, it's real kind of patchwork, isn't it?
Yeah. I just, here's what I think, if you buy a composite, I don't think it's gonna grow too much in terms of value.
No, not unless the parts of it are definitely confirmed to be by a very regarded maker, then it will go up, but obviously not as much as it would do if it was completely by that maker.
Yeah. I mean, the front definitely has a little Italian vibe to it.
I mean, I think I agree that with Brompton's labeling of it, it definitely is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I like, the very interesting ones. An Italian violin Marche, second half of 19th century, 2 to 4,000. Ooh, length about 6'3", 6'3", that's pretty mad. Giant viola even. Minor repairs to table, small post cracking table, minor worm damage in rib.
Oh gosh. I would add an interest into this one if I were Bromptons.
They should start using the term curious, I think, because
Curious violin.
yeah, exactly, a curious violin.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a feeling the F4 has also been messed with.
Yeah. Well, that one on the kind of left-hand side is noticeably bigger than the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, this would be the case I would even use the F word, but I'm sure YouTube wouldn't like that.
Yeah. The scroll is quite curious, isn't it?
Yeah. I know you like this kind. It's a little out of proportion as well.
Yeah. The yeah, it's definitely a bit odd.
I
Looks
wouldn't
a
be
bit pink.
surprised if the arching is all too high as well. It's weird shape arching.
Yeah.
I think this is worth anything because of its Italian. Other than that, you really gotta be sure what you're getting into. But
Well, I'm
definitely,
not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it will sell, to be honest, because it's so long. So
yeah. Maybe it sounds like a cello, and
yeah,
some people
exactly.
like
We'll have to see what happens there. Three-quarter violin, circa 1890. Don't think we need to really look at that too much. It's not particularly exciting one either. A fine and interesting violin attributed to Joseph Guadagnini, Pavia, circa 1800, 20 to 30,000. 359 is quite long. Sold with a copy of Word's collection of fine violins. Part one, the violin is listed on page 31 and described as being the work of Joseph Guadagnini. Dendro report from Matthias Boiting shows the oldest ring to be 660 and latest from 1760. How scandalous that they're not using Peter Ratcliffe for Dendro.
yeah. Oh, gotta give the other guys a chance because Radcliffe's not the only one who can do Dendro.
Got to let some other people earn a few pounds here and there.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to know if there's any cross matches because only by the rings, this could very much be, I don't know, German or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I can, I've never studied Joseph Guadagnini, but the Guadagnini family has this sort of a dark red varnish, white corners. But yeah, other than that, the arching, hmm. No, I mean not to my expertise, but definitely a very nice looking instrument.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a curious one for the curiosity box. A fine French violin by,
I was
sorry, go for it.
for the previous line, I was going to say that's a lot of money for curiosity.
Well, curiosity killed the bank balance.
Yeah,
Lot 46, a fine French violin by Honoré Derezi, Miracle, circa 1860. 361, another giant French thing.
yeah, yeah. Tehazis are pretty good. I thought this is the more expensive one because I know there's the Justin Tehazi. Your Violin school.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, 361 bit of a on the longer side.
Yep.
A lot of cracks. There's crack on the back, a few cracks on the front.
It's all cracks.
Yeah. Well, nothing serious, but you can see that the central seam is also opening on the two-piece back.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They're gonna need some work.
Yeah.
These are the instrument where they estimate it based on the maker. The maker will probably be worth 8,000, 12,000, but you really gotta add the repair bill into it, unless you just don't want to fix it at all. I mean, it's gonna make sound, but if you want it to be nice, good enough for private sale, you're gonna put a few pounds, at least a few £1,000 to fix it up. Yeah, I would say this will be a bit of a risky investment if it. I mean, look at this. It's already up to like £9,500 now.
Mm.
I don't know what you're thinking. But
Yeah. Well, it's popular. It's definitely popular.
I mean, no joke, and this is definitely a nice instrument. And it's a famous maker too. Pretty
Well,
long.
I'm sure it will sell for sure.
Yeah.
An English violin by John Johnson, London, 1757, 4 to 6,000. With a label. It's got the fingerboard has a Hill registration number, a certificate from Hill and Sons, 1976, 357 back.
Yeah. Hey, it's from the same guy that made the COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny seeing these early English violins. They almost have this sort of, German vibe to it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, I guess the corner works is very different from a German violin, but these F holes are clearly like Steiner influenced. Yeah, the scroll is not German at all. It's almost
No.
like a mix in between Italian, German with some thinner corners. Yeah, these are very interesting. And I don't know what those big black pins are on the back.
Yeah, that's like a little bit curious.
Yeah, and I guess 357 is a little longer than your average 18th century German violin too.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Go ahead. Sorry,
No, I was just going to say I like the scroll, but I'm not sure about the proportions of the body.
yeah, a few years ago on Turisio, there's an English violin with a Dattili certificate because Dattili has been near the end of that shop's history. They've been writing some just trash certificate, and they attributed one of those to Carcassy, but it's actually an English violin, and they would make a mistake this far. But you gotta say there are similarities because both of them are high arching Steiner influence with yellow varnish that don't look exactly German. So if you're not, if you're not knowledgeable enough, it is possible to attribute it to some sort of, Italian.
Yeah, it's definitely some interesting traits there. Property of a lady, a good Italian violin, Naples, first quarter of the 19th century, 20 to 30. Sold with a seat of Ealing strings and a certificate from Hart and Sons from 1933, 358 back. This is a curious choice of wood for the back.
I remember just now on Maestro.net, there's some discussion on what does property of a lady signify, if it means much.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's one of those kind of odd terms that they used to use all the time.
I don't know if it's like a secret code or something, because I don't know why any buyer would care about the gender of this previous owner.
Yeah, it's. I think it's maybe just meant to say that it's been well looked after. I think that's a general idea of this kind of thing.
It's a bit of a stereotype, isn't it?
Interesting Ealing strings receipt. It says Galeano family violin. So
Yeah.
and sold for 17,000 pounds in 1992. So
That's a bit of a bad investment to start with.
yeah, it's not great, really, is it?
1992 is when you can buy a Strat for just like a few $100,000. I would say a 17,500 will be quite much even for a Gagliano family. I mean, it could be a Gagliano. Though I don't see anything that screams Gagliano, but
Yeah,
since Brompton seem to agree that at least it's Naples.
yeah, exactly. That's at least something, but not a massive investment return on 30 years for them, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at the condition report as well, that's a bit concerning.
Oh yeah. that's a I wouldn't even call that a patch. That's just a lot of wood shoved into the front. Yeah, there's a patch for a back sound post crack as well. I don't know where this 20,000 or 30,000 estimate came from. I do know that at least Brompton did this with me last time, that I asked him to raise the estimate and they agreed. So this could be upon the buyer's requests to raise the estimate. But
Mm,
I think this would be, well, interesting. There's already a bid on it for 18,000. It has now met the reserve. But
yeah.
I think this is a bit too much. Even if this by any known member of the Galeano family with the back samples crack, it's gonna be hard to sell.
I just don't actually understand this choice of wood for the back.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I heard Naples is in a bit of a melting pot of things, and they do have interesting choice. They are famous for interesting choice of wood for a lot of things. Um, yeah. I mean, this violin is probably even constructed in the German method instead of the Italian method, and it also has some Steiner influenced F-holes as well.
yeah, this one's a bit too bizarre for me.
If this is any more interesting, I would actually even try to do a little research, see if I can match it with any Naples maker, but I'm not that bored yet.
Yeah, no, I think move along from that one. Um, a fine English violin by William Ebsworth Hill, London, 1853. 7 to 10,000 certificate from 1943. Oh, sold with a bit of sale from Alfred de Regiere to Mr. R.B. Buchanan for the sum of £40. Wow. Length of back 357. I do really like these violins by William Ebsworth Hill. I think they're really well made. That's my kind of main comment. Aesthetics in any case.
The choice of wood and the varnish is just amazing. The workmanship, yeah, is beautiful. See, this is why I call it good investment. You buy this for 40 bucks. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think this is yeah, it's an interesting. It's actually, to be honest, a lower estimate than I'd thought. No bids so far. I
well, it
mean,
does have a samples crack and a peg crack. Well, it's funny is that it's not written on the condition report, but there clearly is a. Actually, I don't know. That could be just a scratch, but it could be a peg hole crack as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That looks like a scratch to me
but
more than anything, but
yeah, it does extend all the way to the bushing, so
yeah.
not too. Yeah. It has a little stain on the back as well. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, besides the samples crack, this is pretty solid. But the samples crack definitely does cut a lot in value. I mean, if it's an 18th century violin, a samples crack wouldn't matter as much, but for an 1853, it may start to affect the value.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad a price though at the moment. 6,000. I think that's kind of could be quite a good deal, really.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but I just forgot and never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you remember, let me know. But I think a lot of these English violins are a bit undervalued, really. So I think this one could be
I
good.
was, yeah, I was just reading this morning. There was this lesser known English maker who lived in the exact same time as Stradivari, and he made a few Stradivari copies. And there's one that Hill sold to Chrysler for 40 bucks.
Is this Daniel Parker?
I think so. Yeah, it has one of those really English names. Yeah,
Yeah.
Parker.
I think like Daniel Parker violins are amazing, actually. Like probably like the most regarded English maker almost.
Hmm. But I assume they're pretty rare.
Um, fairly, I think, yeah. But they're very nice. Some of them are amazing, really, really nice looking.
Also, I think the fingerboard may be a little too thin on this one. Again, I mean, I can't see the sides, so it's just a bit of a bummer. I know I just assume for a lot of these instrumental auction, good 80% of them have some sort of a setup issue. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you buy any of these instruments, you end up having to do a proper resetup if you wanna play on it for the rest of your life.
Exactly, yeah, that's true. Interesting that it seems to also have a neck graft, actually.
Mm, that seems to be a pretty good net graph actually.
Yeah, that's quite curious. Anyway, onwards and upwards, as they say. A French violin, probably by Joseph Gaffino at Paris, 1750. 357 length of back.
We've seen this one from the previous auction, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the exact same violin. I think it is, because that one wasn't sold. I wonder why people are not buying this one. So I thought, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I like this too. Worm damage, maybe. Worm damage to table ribs and necks. Some people just literally run a mile as soon as you hear worm.
Yeah, and they're all dead. They're not gonna bite you and keep eating your violin up.
Yeah, I quite like that. That's quite interesting. An interesting violin. Well, there we go. As soon as we say interesting, then that's what we get, an interesting violin. 358 repairs table ribs back and peg box with the Guarnerius label.
Nasty scroll graft and artificial antiquing cracks on the back. They didn't even draw a condition report for this one. They just said repairs to the table back ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking one though.
You can see that the head of the actual scroll's being decapitated at some stage.
Yeah. Oh damn, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, but not interesting enough for me, I'm afraid. So we go onwards. A violin circa 1850. Ooh, 362. Sold with a letter from Stefano Conia.
What does he say? What's this?
Oh, with the classic Steiner stamp on the back.
Interesting. Stefano Conia. He would issue certificate for these stuff. I wonder if I don't want to say anything, but I wonder if it's one of those like trash violin, but lying around in a violin maker's shop, and if you find them to buy an old violin, they'll just rip you off.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just a letter, isn't it? It's not a certificate, but
yeah, I mean, Konya is famous for being a violin maker. It's interesting. In 1986, just so random, It's yeah.
yeah, this is a bit of a strange thing to be in this auction, to be honest. It's a bit out of place.
Well, I was gonna say, now remember that for every lot in the auction, we just assume that there's something wrong with it, and it's like our job to find out exactly what's going on.
Well, to me, I just would thought this is meant to be the fine sale, isn't it? I would have thought this is better placed in the general sale of violin like this, but
Wait, so Brompton actually has a fine and general sale as well?
yeah, they just call it fine or general, and general has other instruments as well. So,
well, a lot of the violins here, I wouldn't. They appear pretty general to me. So
well, yeah, but I mean, I guess they're still by specific kind of makers, and they're kind of the attributions confirmed. This, or most of them are, but this is not even really that interesting to me. It's just
super random.
Yeah, it's almost just like a kind of tradey violin. I don't really know why this is kind of here personally, but that's my thoughts anyway.
It's huge too.
An Italian violin by Carlo Carletti, 1900. Length of back 356.
This one's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say I instantly kind of like this.
The scroll crack does need some attention, but that's just like an aesthetic thing. There's nothing structural to it.
Nice back as well.
Oh, it also has a sound post crack. It's almost funny. It's almost funny. Almost every single nice violin by a big name has the sound post crack.
I think just over time that it's just such a common thing to happen, really.
But I mean, for a 1900s violin, if you want to sell it as like a fine violin by the maker, they tend to be in better condition if you buy them from like private sales.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, if this is like 1700, then yeah, I mean, I would even expect a sample is cracked. It means it's been played on, but 1900, man, someone like smacked the violin in between their legs or like on their lap or something.
Okay, I'll carry on. An Italian violin by Giovanni Battista Chirruti, Cremona, circa 1800, 15 to 20,000. I think this is possibly my favorite for the
Yeah,
auction, really. A
yeah, it's funny.
355 back.
A Chirruti worth way more than the previous one, but I don't see a comprehensive condition report or a playing video. Oh, it does say condition report is available upon request. I wonder what that implies.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Well,
man,
I mean, look, you can see on the back, look at how big the crack is, and it's
yeah,
been pinned. Look, it's been pinned all along the back.
yeah.
Can you see that? It's got like a chunk out of it, but it also has little dowel pins all over it.
That little rectangular graph, that assumes like it's some really massive samples crack. They just straight up grafted it, and the net graph is failing. Like,
Yeah, the net graft was absolutely atrocious anyway. And it's failing. I mean, the work needed on this is probably
yeah,
extremely substantial.
I think the back is done. I mean, this back is just. I mean, you can probably buy this for 15,000 pound and do a little further repair so all these little patches are invisible because a Chirruti does worth a lot more in good condition. So I mean, it could be an investment, but damn, it's I wouldn't even bother with it.
I think for someone that wants to restore it, I think it could be worth it.
Yeah, well, you gotta be some pretty talented restorer because I would say the last restore definitely tried. If not tried a little too hard, that kind of ruined it.
Yeah, that's the problem, fixing kind of previous repairs.
Yeah, man, Chirruti only
Yeah,
if it's fair condition.
yeah, exactly. Very true. An interesting Italian violin, Venice, circa 1750, 8 to 12,000.
Like this one, except for that diagonal crack on the back. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, I see. This is what I'm talking about for a back samples crack. Is because the grains are not as strong as the front. You can't control which direction it develops, and your samples is always exerting pressure on it. This one just it probably started growing on the samples and just went all the way to the edge. And it's yeah, you can't perfectly fix this unless you're some like really talented restorer that works that like the few of the Dejesus with a back sample is cracked. They're able to make it just completely invisible.
If you look at the condition report, it's pretty mad.
Yeah, it's crazy. But if this is say since it's Venice, if this is say a Goffredo, then by all means buy it for 8,000 bucks, do a full restoration, or it could even be yeah, it could be anyone's. I mean, if you can attribute this to one of the big Venice name, then spend another 10,000 pound on the full restoration. That wouldn't even be enough. This is mad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit daunting, that one. An interesting violin, probably Tyrol, 1770, 359 back.
This is not bad.
I like the way they didn't even attempt to take the cork off from the center mounted chin rest.
Yeah. Well, those are pretty much stuck there. You had to kind of like scrape them off, which I don't think an auction house would bother. But yeah, but you can see a little crack from as a result of the of too much pressure from
Hmm.
the chin rest. Mm, I was gonna say for a Tyrolean violin like this, I was expecting an Albani label.
Okay, yeah,
A Testori label is a little out of place, I would say. It's but pretty cool, I guess. If
yeah,
if if the estimate is a little lower, I would say it's probably a little more convincing.
yeah,
Some of these instruments, I think the estimate is a little too high.
yeah. I agree. This one's potentially a bit too high indeed. And anyway, we shall move on. A violin attributed to Franco of Forcellini, Mantua, 1988.
We're
Certificate
talking
of the maker.
we're talking about estimate and a good deal. I say this one's a good deal.
What, this lot 57?
Yeah, 57.
Yeah.
Um, because if you buy this directly from the maker, they're going to charge you at least 10,000 for it.
But what are your thoughts that it has a certificate from the maker, yet it's only attributed to?
Yeah, it's multiple theories that's in my mind right now. One is that it could be fake, which there are a lot of them, especially for a late 20th century. Or this could be an imported white violin with an Italian varnish that came from the maker's shop, but it doesn't stylistically match with the maker. I mean, there are various possibilities, but I can take this as a modern Italian violin, at least sell it as one.
Mm,
Stylistically, I wouldn't say it's very far off, but it could be one of those Romanian copy with a bunch of with fake certificate, fake stamps. See, it does have a branding. Yeah, no idea. If the maker's still alive, give them a call or something. Hey, did you make this one in 1988?
yeah, that's true.
That's pretty cool. I mean, if this is actually by the maker, I would say it's a good deal. Nice instrument, very well made.
Yep. Well, that's potential investment piece. And onwards, if the internet allows us to go to a German violin by Ernst Heinrich Roth, Ruth, 1962. They love these in America,
Yeah,
don't they? So
they started selling these for like 12,000 US dollar already. But a quick note about Roth, you want to look at the label and see because for Roth they're very clear about how they're placing the instrument because they make an instrument at different level and they will add a little like a Roman numeral to say like what level, like what tier this violin is. And what's very interesting is that the Roth family is still alive. They actually still have a shop, I think, or something in Germany. So you could even reach out to them, I think. I'm not sure. I've never seen any Roth made after 21st century, but yeah, I mean Roth definitely look at what the label actually says and see because different tiers do change the value a little bit. This one doesn't. This one looks nice. It looks like a that J2 copy, but doesn't look like the finest Roth. Yeah, but overall, I would just say they're workshop stuff, 20th century German. They are going up a little bit in value, but they could be the next Cohen Maison. You never know.
yeah, exactly, definitely. An English violin by Cyril Jacklin, London, 1928. Length of back 360, so it's a kind of another kind of typical English type violin of that time. So yeah, fairly. It's got unfortunate cheek repairs there. Look, scroll looks quite well made. Interesting that you've got the pins underneath the purfling that you like to
Yeah,
see.
it's definitely I think this one could even be well, not too sure because the bottom one seemed to be added after the purfling has been done, but the top one is well hidden under the purfling. So I wonder why would they do this, but it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the varnish, I would say, this doesn't even look like, your typical English varnish. At least from the picture, it almost looked like one of the Italian varnish we just saw. Yeah.
Yeah, a curious one. A French violin, workshop of JTL. I don't think we really need to investigate this one, to be honest.
Looks like a nice JPL though.
Yeah, a bit of a wild back, bit of a crack on the side.
It's
Well,
just funny. If you go into a shop and buy a JTL, they'll probably charge you like 5,000, 6,000 for them.
well, exactly. I was going to say actually, like maybe if you are looking to buy one, you could get it for a decent price, I suppose.
Like if you actually if you open the shop, this will be the kind you start buying.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna rip off other students with these instruments.
Good condition, a bit long though, I guess 359. An Italian violin by Johannes Galeano, Naples, circa 1800, certificate from Beers in 2011, 354 back, that's good. The instrument, originally a very small viola, has been reduced to the dimensions of a violin. The scroll is probably a reproduction, likely made at the time of the alteration. There you go.
It's interesting. I mean, I guess we can see where was the cuts done. Did Gaggiano reduce it, or it was reduced by someone else?
Yeah, it was interesting, these cut down instruments.
Yeah, it looks like I mean, honestly, it looks like a very fine violin.
Yeah, it looks fine to me. It's quite hard to tell actually from the pictures, but
See, this is what I call like a late Gaggiano with these very flat corners. You have these Naples peg holes as well.
yeah. Well, 20 to 30,000. Few people interested. 4 bids there, so it will sell.
Yeah,
Right.
I just don't think that late Gaggianos are anywhere close to the legendary status of like Niccolo or what's the other guy called? Joseph and like Ferdinand. Um, yeah,
No, exactly.
yeah, but these are nice, Yeah. These are not like the mass-produced Gaggiano, so it's still pretty good.
Definitely. A good Portuguese violin by Antonio Capella after Del Gesù, 7 to 10,000. 1 bid there. Certificate of the maker, 356.
Yeah, see this one's cool. Like, dude, there's like this is the kind of modern violin I'm like. If you want to buy a modern violin, get one of these.
Yeah, I think this maker is actually quite regarded as well. So I think this could be a very nice violin.
It's although it's made very fresh, but you can see these are these are some really faithful copies. Very stylistic. No, the corner works are quite Italian. A lot of characters in here as well.
It's
Yeah,
interesting. The violin was purchased directly from the maker by the owner's father and still retains the original workshop fittings. So if you really wanted to buy something for investment, then this is actually probably a good opportunity.
like play the hell out of it. Put some dust on it so it looks even older.
Very nice scroll, actually. I like that.
Yeah, this is like a very faithful reproduction of that Jesus scroll.
Hmm.
It just seems so out of place sometimes to see these Dead Jesus copies with a very clean scroll. But this one is just like, yeah. I mean, if you look closer, you can probably even tell like which Dead Jesus this one's copying. This is one of your like typical golden period, like 1740s Dead Jesus. Is it right? 1740s, I think. Yeah, not too sure.
Yeah, it's a nice looking instrument. Um, an interesting violin, probably low county, second half of the 18th century, 3 to 4,000, 355 back.
I have a question. What does Low Countries even mean? Is this like a Brompton term or
Um, I think that Low Countries is basically referring to places, I guess, kind of like around the Netherlands and stuff like that, and maybe like Belgium and places like that. But that's what I always was kind of led to believe that's what that means.
yeah,
But I could be completely wrong.
yeah. I guess it's like a little out there expertise to accurately say, oh, this is a Dutch violin, this is a Flemish. Yeah.
While I've just looked it up quickly while we're here, yeah, basically it refers to the Western European nations of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg collectively. So there you go. So basically Belgium and the Netherlands, Luxembourg obviously being pretty tiny, but somewhere around that kind of way. Yeah, it looks interesting enough. It's had a lot of repairs though. Any other thoughts on this?
Not really.
Okay, let's speed on. A violin attributed to Armando Altavilla, sold with a certificate of Ignesti Roberto, 357 is the length of back.
So out of words for this one.
No, no comments. Okay. We can move on. A violin attributed to Erminio Malaguti, Milan, 1978, sold with a certificate bearing the name of the maker. So that sounds a bit dubious. 356 length of back. That scroll looks a bit interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. Both of these attributed to a late 20th century maker have these certificates from the shop attributing it to themselves, but Brompton thinks that they're just attributed. If I'm bored enough, I would actually take a look, see if this actually matches with the other work. I'm not that bored yet.
Yeah, same. I'm kind of, well, there's got a few bids, so some people are interested in it.
Yeah.
Not for me, I don't think. A French violin by Leon Mougenot, Miracle, 1930, 2 to 3000, 356 back.
About these Violin kind of antique. 356, not too long as well. I would say this is a pretty good investment.
Yeah.
2000, 3000. There's so many of them out there, so they can't put the estimate for too high, but I would say this is probably even better than your average Colimazon.
Yeah,
You actually fit look better. Yeah.
It's definitely got potential. German violin by Leo Alschur, Mittenwald, 1955. Length of back 356. I don't think it's too exciting, this one.
With a weird arching on the back. Well, not really weird, but like, not ideal.
I think we can move along. An interesting violin attributed to Walter Medici, 357.
That's a Barbieri label.
Yeah.
Wonder who did the attribution though. There's no certificate.
Yeah. Once again, I'm not really convinced about that one, I'm afraid.
Scroll's a little rough.
Definitely. An Italian violin by Giorgio Gatti, Turin, first half of the 20th century, 20 to 30,000, 355 back.
Yeah, I like this one. Though I've never even heard of the maker, let alone study the maker. So
we both have to learn a bit then.
Yeah, this one also has a samples crack, like 2 hour surprise. It's so weird. Where did I get all these 20th century Italian with samples crack? Like someone collecting them or something? Wait a minute. So instrument played by Amos Sharp, is this a guy who was playing in the video, or
yeah, I think this is the person that's doing the videos. Yeah, it's interesting how all of these 20th century ones have the sound post cracks. So
I think maybe someone think they're getting a good deal by buying these ones with sound post crack, and now they're just selling all of them. So
Yeah,
these are all the ones with a video, with a video. I mean,
yeah.
so it's gotta be something. It could even be by this guy was playing them. I don't know.
A good English violin by George Krask, as we talked about before. This is a nicer one than the one in Ingalls, in my opinion, in any case. 354 back.
Awesome condition, man. Super nice, dude.
Yeah, I do really like these Krask instruments. This is a really nice one, I think, personally.
So cool. Like the varnish, dude. What year is this one? Oh, so it's like mid 19th century.
Yeah, it's probably like 1860 or something like that. I don't know. Hard
How
to
come
say.
there's no bid on it? It's an amazing condition.
People don't really like the English instruments, I don't think. That's the thing. A lot of them, some makers have value, like the Jack Lotts and Daniel Parkers and a few other ones. But otherwise, a lot of makers, they're not so popular.
Yeah, damn. Start preaching these.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're really nice. I think that's a very nice example. I think this one personally, but
If this is Italian, it's in the 100,000. I'm sorry, for like an 1850s.
no, definitely, yeah. But that's the way things go, I guess.
Yeah.
A good violin, probably by Ludwig Neuner, Berlin or Paris, circa 1860, 2 to 4,000. Sound post crack in table.
Gosh. Yeah, but not bad.
Yep, not too bad. Yep, looks all right. I think we can move on. An interesting violin, circa 1900, after Eugenio Degani, 357 back.
That's funny. It's a copy of Degani, so it could be by anyone. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't need to spend much to even buy a real Degani. I guess it's expensive now, but yeah. I wonder who made this one.
yeah. It's not really appealing to me, I must admit. Two people interested in it, though. Okay, 7/8 French violin made for Hawks and Co. I don't think we need to look at this one. What I like about not this auction, but the Teresio one, is that you can see the name of the bidder, and it's funny when people have like bizarre names. Right, here's probably one of the top things actually in this auction, a very fine Italian violin by Giovanni Francesco Presenda, Turin, 1828. Certificate of Hills from 53, and Peter Bidolf, 2017, 357 back.
Yeah, this one's in pretty good condition too. Oh God. I was gonna say it looked like the violin I had, but this one has pins. Mine
Yeah.
didn't. But the scroll in the back looks pretty close.
I think this is a very nice looking violin.
Yeah. How much are they? Wow. 330,000.
Yeah, the Presendas are very regarded as like concert instruments, so I'm not surprised at the price there.
There's not even an estimate. I had to contact them for estimate.
Yeah, well, there's no point. All you need to know is that you've got to have at least 330,000 to even bid on it. So I do like it, I have to say, but obviously it's in a different world.
I mean, who's so desperate in selling their Presenda? I mean, if they want to wait a few years, this will be the kind they stick to private sales.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe, well, who knows people's financial situation, I guess.
Yeah, because I don't see a serious issue with this one.
No, I think that was quite good. So the ex Robert Bauer, an important Italian violin by Giovanni Battista Ruggeri, Brescia, 1692. So it's another pinnacle piece, length of back 351. So this is once again 350,000 starting bid.
I would even say Ruggeri's are probably. This is not Ruggeri. This is Ruggeri, the Brescia one.
Yeah.
They're probably even more rare than the Presenda. And you can tell that nobody has ever done anything to the F holes. They're so damn thin. Dude, this is crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if like it's the same person that can sign the Presenda and the Rogeri.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Okay, there's a little samples crack, but damn, the condition is good for this one.
Yeah, the condition is very nice. Very nice indeed.
See how beautifully made that scroll is.
Yeah, the scroll is very nice.
That little bit, I forgot how you call it, the that little end turn into the scroll
Okay, yeah.
is cut all the way in. And man, this is 1692.
Yeah, it's a good late 17th century. So very nice.
Man, if you had the cash, you had to choose between the Presenda and the Rogeri, by the Rogeri.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that from an investment point of view, you'd be better off buying the Presenda, actually.
Makes sense. Well, I feel like all of the values can go up anyways, so. And
yeah. Oh yeah,
Presenda,
either way you'll be okay, but I think actually the Presenda will overtake it soon enough. But anyhow, a good Italian viola now by Romeo Antonazzi, Cremona, 1910. 400 length the back. Whoa, those pegs are weird. Wow, that's bizarre. Okay, interesting.
These could be the original pegs.
Yeah, that's pretty curious. Okay, well,
you can tell the pegs don't completely fit the peg holes. You may want to kind of go in there and give it some, extra scraping.
yeah, it's a bit curious. A good viola attributed to Giuseppe Giachetti, Rome, 1910. No, 1920 even.
Land to the back, 420 millimeter.
Yeah.
Blaze it. I don't know if you get that one. This is my...
Yep. Okay. A contemporary Italian viola by Roberto Ignesti, Florence, 2016, after Ansaldo Poggi, 411.
See, I'm just so clueless about viola's dimension because I know they're like different kinds.
I think generally between 400 to 420 is pretty standard. So I don't think this is a fairly reasonable size, pretty middle ranging size. Some people are a bit smaller, might prefer a smaller size viola, like under 400, but I've seen a few violas that are like 384 and stuff like that. And I've seen some absolutely huge ones as well. So
yeah, 384 is almost like an oversized violin.
Yeah. A French viola, probably Paris, first half of the 18th century. Length of back 388, so that's quite a small one. Well repaired soundpost cracked in table with patch. I like the way they say that it's well repaired.
Oh, yeah, but not to the expensive ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can tell it's like someone behind the screen typing these all out. Sometimes a word coming to their mind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a samples crack.
A viola, 2 to 4,000, 390.
I hope someone really think this is a real Cesare candy.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it is, because I mean that guy's famous.
Fine English. Oh, here's a viola by George Krask, 1860. Sold by Hill and Sons.
You can just tell it's so stylistically similar to the Darjesu copy. But this one's somehow worth a lot more than the violin.
Well, it's just because it's a viola, so that'll push the price up a bit anyway.
Because that one was 8,000 to 10,000 pounds, which, okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting back, actually.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, even on the condition report, it didn't say there's any big cracks. It's almost like there's some cracks going on, but I guess that's just like,
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a really giant crack on the back, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the wood that he used already had a pre-crack on it. That wouldn't be completely unheard of.
yeah, or
In
warm damage. I don't know.
Interesting looking thing, though. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm,
And
composite.
an interesting composite viola, assembled by Thomas Hardy from parts of much earlier English instruments. Table is probably from a 17th century English instrument and backed by Baroque Norman. Ribs and scroll would seem to be by Hardy. Yeah, I heard this before about Thomas Hardy making instruments up of random bits of old vials and stuff like that. So sometimes the actual like wood used can be really, really old indeed. So
This is what I call interesting.
yeah, genuinely, yeah. Yeah, this could be quite a cool instrument. I don't think that's
Like 17th century. Okay, it's not that old, but damn.
I mean, this could, yeah, it could be quite interesting. It's not unreasonable. So
If you look at that bit under the fingerboard on the table, yeah, I think these are like actual artificial decoration.
oh yeah, yeah, they are definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, considering that there's some matching decoration on the back, I wouldn't be surprised if like Hardy added those.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting instrument for sure.
That's so cool.
An English viola by Charles and Samuel Thompson, London, 1786. 7 to 10,000, length of back 387. So this is a smaller one. This I really like, actually. I think this is a very nice looking instrument. Yeah.
Nothing else to be said, I guess.
Yeah, that's curious. An English viola by Percy Lee, 1930, 420. So getting to the kind of the bigger side of things. Once again, nothing too much to say, I don't think.
It's just kind of funny to have a little pin on the eye of the scroll.
Yeah, that's quite curious. And it's quite swept back in a way, the scroll.
So once I got it, well, a lot of these violas are made like cellos. Because I know cellos have these like, not sure.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely another one for the interesting box. A good English viola, circa 1800. Minor repairs to this table, good overall condition. Quite like the back on that. Looks like a tidy button repair there. Yep, quite a lot of violas. It's good for the viola players. Fine Italian. Sorry, go for it.
We got a Pastucci here.
Yep, fine Italian viola by Giovanni Pastucci, Naples, circa 1900. Wow, 60 to 70,000, length of back 401.
I mean, it's a very famous maker, and it's funny. It looks almost stylistically identical to a Pastucci violin I saw on the Amati auction earlier this year. I mean, I guess it's the same maker, so obviously, but I didn't know he'll be this recognizable.
Well, it's good to have kind of a style, a recognizable style.
Look how beautiful that scroll is, like from the certificate. I mean, the photography almost just made it look flat.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's popular, 3 bids, so reserve is met, so it will sell for something. An Italian viola by Alfredo Gianotti, Milan, 1974, 10 to 12,000, no bids, 421. It's quite a striking figure on the back. And then onwards, an English viola by Charles Boulanger, London, circa 1880, 5 to 8,000. Certificate of beer, 410.
These are the violas. I mean, even if they're violins, I wouldn't be surprised if they're called French as well.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I guess it depends what period for Boulanger, really. If he was in Paris at the time or if he was in London.
Yeah.
Although this one says special appointment to the Duke of Edinburgh, so I presume possibly while he was in London.
Yeah.
Surprised it's not got a higher estimate than that, actually.
Oh, I don't know. I just didn't think that being English will like drop your price that dramatically.
Hmm.
It sounds like some discrimination there.
Yeah, they're not popular for some reason. Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Compost crack.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Yeah, I guess, yeah, because it's got the crack in the back, that would make sense. A good viola attributed to Michelangelo Castelli, 1909, 3 to 4,000. Well, 434, that's pretty long.
Yeah. This one's almost. I mean, this is actually Italian, which I guess it could be. It would worth a little more. It's just funny that sometimes I started calling these possibly Italian, but we should make a disclaimer in the beginning of our video that we we're not responsible for your financial loss after like using our opinion as a judgment. We're not experts.
Yeah, don't ever use our opinion. Luckily that we do these videos so close to the actual auction date that no one will actually view it before bidding, but still don't take any of our comment.
Yeah, because that scroll looks French. And they got that flat eye black lining. But I know, of course, there are also Italian scrolls that look exactly like this. Or the F hole placement and stuff are, it could be Italian. The corner works could be Italian. Yeah, I've never studied a maker. It could be by the maker. And pretty cheap, 3,000, 4,000. I mean, I know nothing about viola, so. But you said this is like a bit too long.
Well, yeah, 434 I think is a bit long, really. French viola by JTL, so still at even 399. Even the French aren't going that long. I think this is not too exciting, pretty standard.
Next one's cool.
An English viola by Michael Heel, Guildford, 1990, not too old. 410. Yep, that's pretty nuts.
Funny, it's almost shaped like a small violin, but it's actually a huge viola. Well, not like a big viola, but it's a viola.
It is quite curious. The scroll almost looks like a lineroll.
Yeah.
So that kind of obscure kind of maker that did kind of the interesting instruments here. That's a bit of a bizarre one.
Yeah, looks like a pretty well made. So 600 and 1,000, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, well, someone's bid on it, so someone likes it. So not quite my taste, not the F holes anyway. I like the scroll, but otherwise. Back to bows again. Fine English gold and tortoiseshell mounted viola bow by Hills and Sons, 46,000.
I was gonna say 9 more bows, and I think we should be done with part 1. I think 100 would be a good amount for this video.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. A good English ivory mounted violin or viola bow, possibly by John Dodd, 57 grams. A German silver mounted viola bow by Lothar Hermann. A French silver mounted viola bow by Morizon. A German silver mounted viola bow by Frechner.
that these viola bows are not horribly more heavy than a violin bow. See, there's the Mohizo is just 68 grams. Like you have violin bows that are like 62, 63 grams.
Mm. No, definitely. Yeah, there can be some crossover for sure. A German silver-mounted viola bow by Paul Weidhaus. A French silver-mounted viola bow, possibly by Marcel Lapierre. A fine Italian cello by Carlo Antonio Testore, Milan. Oh, no, hang on, we've gone past bows now.
Yeah, these
Oh,
tests.
oh, we're on to the cellos now. Oh,
These types of
interesting.
cellos are probably crazy desirable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, somehow there's no bid on it.
That's curious. So for this part of the auction, Max has just had to go off and do some other things. So we did the first part of the auction and the last part of the auction together, but this bit in the middle, I'm just going to do myself. So it's lots 99 to I think 176 or so. So it's kind of 76, 77 kind of items. So here is a fine Italian cello by Carlo Antonio Testore, Milan, circa 1720, so 60 to 80,000. Length of back 724. Scroll possibly by Carlo Giuseppe Testore. Cello has been modified in size. So you can actually see here there's been some modifications. No bids on that so far. John Dilworth certificate from 2020. So it's an interesting cello, but no takers so far. Property of a Lady, English cello by Benjamin Banks, Salisbury 1787. 40 to 60, no bids so far. Benjamin Banks, like very interesting maker, and there's a book as well about Benjamin Banks that you can get about the Salisbury maker. So that's quite curious. Fine small-sized Italian cello by Giuseppe Dolenz, Trieste, circa 1850. Certificate of Peter Bidoff, 6 to 8,000 there, no bids. Cellos are not being bid on at the moment. Interestingly, a few repairs there. A contemporary cello attributed to Daniele Di Carlo, Milan, 1998, 800 to 1200, 5 bids on that. Repairs to table. Not so much other information. An interesting cello, 8 to 10,000, 1 bid there. Mario Garda, certificate of Mario Garda included. I think we've talked a bit about Mario Garda stuff before. Can be a bit of a difficult situation. Lot 104, a French cello, School of Juste de Razy, Mirecourt, 1875, 6 to 8,000. Repair to ribs and table. Has a certificate of J&A beer. And a good cello sold by the Learn and Healy Company, 1908, 3 to 5,000 is the estimate. A cello, 2 to 4,000, no bids on that so far. Has a Italian label, good condition. Fine English cello by Thomas Kennedy, London, circa 1820, 35 to 40. No takers, and looks like not much movement in the cello department. Sold with certificate of Peter Waters, Wallingford, 2014. Some marks, some cracks. An English cello by Nigel Grinton, Hartlepool, 2000, after William Forster, 4 to 6. Still no bids on this. Okay. A French cello by Etienne Drouin, Miracle, 1870. Few bids on this, 4 to 6,000. A cello, probably German, circa 1880, 3.5 to 4.5. An interesting cello, second half of the 19th century, 3 to 4,000. 1 bid there, unlabeled. Several repairs. Property of a Lady, a fine English cello by Joseph Hill, London, 1770, 40 to 16. No bids on that so far. So the high-end cellos are not doing so well at the moment. It's got a beer certificate there. It's had some post repairs. Lot 114, a German cello, 5 to 8,000. Some post crack in table there. It's got oh, it's interesting. A letter about someone's performance. A good cello, circa 1900, 2 to 4,000. No bids on that so far. A very fine gold-mounted cello bow, attributed to and probably by Nikolai Kittel, 81 grams. Bow is mounted with a replica frog, but sold with the original. And there you go, that's interesting. 3 bids on that, 10 to 15. Good. French silver-mounted cello bow by Bazin. French nickel-mounted cello bow by Nicolas Mayer. French silver-mounted cello bow by a member of the Bazin family. French silver-mounted cello bow, possibly by a member of the Morizon family. A couple of bids on that. A good English cello bow by John Dodd, 4 to 5,000 pounds there. Weight 78 grams. No bids on that so far. German style mounted cello bow by a member of the Lott family, 3 to 5,000. A good German silver mounted cello bow, possibly by a member of the Frechner family. A nickel mounted cello bow attributed to and possibly by Carl Wilhelm Knopf. 1 bid on that, 85 grams is the weight. Good silver mounted cello bow. German silver mounted cello bow, no bids on that one. Good English cello bow, probably by John Dodd, 1 bid on that, 3 to 5,000. A French nickel mounted cello bow by Louis Bazin. A silver mounted 3/4 size cello bow. A Swiss silver mounted cello bow, workshop of Johannes Finkel. A French silver mounted cello bow by Claude Thomasin. A French silver mounted double bass bow, 2 to 3,000. No bids on that. A silver mounted German style double bass bow, workshop of Thomas and George Martin. Interesting. An interesting nickel mounted French style double bass bow, possibly French. A good nickel mounted French style double bass bow. A German nickel mounted French style double bass bow by Konrad Gotz. An unusual single keyed walking stick flute, probably Italian, circa 1800. No bids on that. That's a curiosity. An Italian quinton by Giorgio Corsini, Rome, 1956. No bids on that. 322. That's quite curious. I'm not sure how popular quintons are. Some books, including the Benjamin Banks book I mentioned earlier. Some other books. Stuff from video, etc. Stradivari, the Japan publication. Another book on Stradivari. Another book, Guarneri del Gesù by Peter Bidoff. I think I was going to say this is super popular, so that's going to go pretty crazy on the bidding. Interesting. Property of a late Anthony Madigan, a fine Italian mandolin by Antonio Vernaccia, Naples, 1766, 1 bid. I think the Vernaccias are very popular, so bearing original label. It's quite a fine looking instrument, that. Another late Anthony Madigan, another fine mandolin by Antonio Vernaccia, 3 bids on that. Another very nice mandolin. Another Italian mandolin, School of Emberger, Rome, first half, 20th century. No bids on that. I'm not too surprised. It's not that interesting. The Ex Millant, an exceptionally fine French silver-mounted violin bow by Nicolas Mayer, Paris, circa 1855, 40 to 60,000, the estimate. 58.9 grams, sold with the original hair. Fine and virtually unplayed self-reherring bows in almost perfect condition, was formerly attributed to the work of Pierre Simon by Bernard Millant and described as such in his certificate dated 1989 from his personal collection. It's since been reattributed to the work of Nicolas Mayer. There you go. Part of the Millant collection sold through Vichy Enchères in 2017, illustrated in L'Archette. So that's a curious bow, an expensive one. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori, one bid on that, 62 grams. A good French silver-mounted violin bow by Claude Thomasin. An English silver-mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons. An English silver-mounted violin bow by James Tubbs. French nickel-mounted violin bow by Louis Morizon. Fine French silver-mounted violin bow by Nicolas Mayer. So that was a high-end one, 30 to 40,000, 67 grams. That was very heavy for a violin bow. No bids. French nickel-mounted violin bow, School of Grand Adam, in fact. And then a good English silver-mounted violin bow, possibly by James Tubbs for Hills and Sons. No bids on that. An English silver-mounted violin bow by Hills and Sons. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Bazar. 2 bids on that. A German silver-mounted violin bow by Otto Derschmidt. A German silver-mounted violin bow, probably by Ludwig Bausch. An English chased gold and ebony mounted violin bow by James Tubbs. Another fancy one here, 62 grams. A French silver mounted violin bow by Joseph Vorin. 3 bids and 3,500 there. A French silver mounted violin bow by Alfred Lamy Pear. A German silver mounted violin bow by Albert Nernberger. An interesting French silver-mounted violin bow, workshop of Eugene Sartori. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Eugene Cugno-Huri. 2 bids on that. German silver-mounted violin bow by E. Hermann. A German silver-mounted violin bow by Albin Hums. A French silver-mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori, 18 to 25,000, 60 grams. No bids on that so far. A fine French silver-mounted violin bow by Francois Nicolas Vara, 15 to 18,000. Certificate of Peter Oxley and Stephen Janssen. Good throughout, some fillets of hand and thumb position. This bow has historically thought to have been associated with and possibly used by Eugene Say. So that's interesting. A good French silver-mounted violin bow, School of Nicolas Mayer. A French nickel-mounted violin bow by Louis Morizon. German silver-mounted violin bow, possibly by Frechner. A good nickel-mounted violin bow, probably German. French ebony and bone-mounted violin bow. 1 bid on that. So a very interesting Italian violin, first half of the 19th century, 15 to 20,000, length of back 353. Scroll possibly later. It's got a nice looking back.
At least they're sure it's Italian, so it could be something.
Definitely. I agree with the interesting statement there. One person also agrees there. 13,000 bid.
The condition is also pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, an interesting one. A French violin, probably Mirecourt, circa 1870. Strad label, 357 back, repaired to table ribs and peg box. It looks in fair condition there. An Italian violin by Alberto Denti, Lodi, 1989, 46,000, 359 backs, quite big actually.
A few more of these modern Italian with got a Konya certificate. Huh, I guess Konya is into the certification business too.
Mm. Yep. And a contemporary Italian violin by Luigi Occoli, Pistoia, 2019, 3 to 5,000, 357, the length of back.
Another probably consigned by the maker.
Yeah, this one as well has kind of interesting figure on the grain on the top, doesn't it?
Probably because of COVID, these people have a hard time selling their stuff. They just start consigning them.
Yeah, it's entirely possible, definitely. That's another interesting one there. A fine French violin by Georges Chanot, Paris, circa 1875, after Stradivari, 358 back.
Not bad.
Yeah, 20 to 25,000.
It's a certificate by Milan.
Yeah, good old Mr. Milan. Okay. A fine violin attributed to Johannes Franciscus Presenda, Turin, circa 1845. 359, length of back. Scroll possibly later.
Gosh, you really gotta ask who made this one, because yeah, I mean stylistically it does look kind of similar to the Presenda we just saw, but
The pinholes and things are not
yeah,
quite.
could be a copy or a modern paper would be nice. I mean, they say fine violin. Do they think it's Italian violin or a fine German copy? Or
Yeah,
it could be.
exactly.
Well, three people think it's the real Presenda. I think there's some condition issue to the scroll.
It looks like it's had some worm issue just above the graft
Yeah.
that's been filled in. But yeah, like you say, three people think it's something at least anyway.
I mean, if it's Presenda, then that's like it's a crazy good investment.
Oh yeah, like ridiculous. Or if it even plays as good as one, then yeah, why not? To be honest. A contemporary Italian violin by Dario Aguzzi, Vidigolfo Pavia, 2021. Oh, a very modern one. 355. Good condition. Well, you'd hope so if it's literally just been made.
That's interesting. All these Italians will start consigning their instrument to an English auction.
Well, I'm not aware of that many Italian auctions, and there aren't even that many in Germany. I think we're only going to start seeing German auctions again now that Teresio are doing like the Berlin ones, because there haven't been many. There's Melis, but I can't really think of many other. It just amazes me how different these instruments look between the certificates and the photos here. It's basically just completely yellow orange in Bromptons, and then it's, you know, what you'd expect it to be in the certificate.
Neither of them, I guess, is very accurate. But I guess a certificate, as long as the maker is happy with it, probably appears closer to what it actually looks.
Interesting. Well, no takers on that one so far, unfortunately. An interesting violin, possibly Italian, 2 to 3,000, labeled Francesco Morizzi, 1841, length of back 356.
Some nice wood.
Yeah, it's a curious one. Well, jury's out on that one. A violin, probably Italian. I like the difference between like possibly or probably. Italian circa 1900. Repairs at ribs and back, worm damage in back, 2 to 3,000. Someone's interested in it.
Yeah, nothing too funny.
Yep. Max is not interested.
Yeah,
A good English violin, probably by a member of the Ferber family, London 1811. There's a lot of Ferber stuff comes up in these Bromptons auctions.
yeah,
351 length of back.
it's a very common name. A lot of maybe it may need some good cleaning. You know,
Mm,
like I'm at a point where only if it really interests me, I wouldn't say much.
yeah.
It almost has a German vibe to the scroll, that little extra turn to the eye.
Yeah. I like it actually. I do like it.
This will be your kind.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely my kind. And a lower estimate. So definitely my kind of thing. An English violin by A.J. Rope, Woolwich, 1908. Starting bid 700. No takers so far. It's a bit big though, 359. Looks quite well made though. Maybe not so much on the purfling. Yeah, the English violin. An Italian violin by Alfredo Contino, Naples, 1920, 355 length of back. Purfling is a bit short there on the back. A fine violin by Paul Bailey, London, 1895 for Hart and Sons, 8 to 10,000,
I like this.
356 back.
This is my kind.
Yeah, this is your kind of zone.
Yeah. Well, something's wrong with the scroll, I guess. I don't know if it's been re-glued or something. I guess just varnish.
Mm,
It's funny. You can buy a Paul Bailey for so little on the French auction, but on these English auctions, they're probably going to bid this even beyond 10,000.
yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Yep.
I like how on the condition report it just says good condition. It says condition see diagram. The diagram says good condition.
Yeah. It's just a bit strange. Was this footnote? The writer has not seen this collaboration before, but as they both worked in the same street, they would have been very familiar with one another. Okay, I see what they're saying. That they've not seen a fine violin by Paul Bailey for Hart and Son. But yeah, I guess it's entirely possible.
It's a rare example.
Yeah, well, it could be. Italian violin, probably by Giovanni Tedesco, Naples, circa 1920, 7 to 10,000. Gigantic 362. Like that scroll, that's nice.
A pretty oddly made one too, especially for 1920. You would think they're a little more standardized.
It's got charm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A good German violin attributed to Sebastian Klotz Mittenwald, 1750, 4 to 6,000. 354 back, repairs to ribs, bed box, some post cracking table with patch. Probably later scroll.
It's just funny that the price estimate is exactly what I expected. Even for real Sebastian Klotz, I would highly recommend not paying more than 6,000 for it. Yeah, this could be. I mean, this is probably not a cloth at all. This is like, I don't know. I'm not an expert in German violin, but
Yeah.
yeah, it almost look like Klingen. Doesn't look like Klingenthal, but yeah, probably it could be a cloth school, but it doesn't quite look like some of the cloth school I've seen. I'm not gonna guess here. I'm sure they're people more knowledgeable on German violin is gonna have a better answer for this. But
Yeah.
because it's not bad.
Yeah, looks interesting enough. An Italian violin by a member of the Averna family, Palermo, circa 1900.
Has some funny looking F holes.
Yeah, those are a little bit curious, some would say. And onwards, an Italian violin by Bruno Donna, Padua, 1983, 355, 2 to 4,000. 3 people are all over this already. You would have thought they would have like straightened the bridge a bit, or at least, before they took the photos.
They didn't care. They're strung it up. good enough.
Yeah. Interesting tiny pin marks on the back. Interesting scroll. Certificate of the maker. A very fine Italian violin by Piero Paravincini, Milan, circa 1925. 18 to 25,000, 357 back.
I like how now they use the word very fine.
Mm.
It's very fine. But it's like, what's the auction house opinion of that? Very fine. I guess.
Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I was gonna say, I mean, the auction house gives out their opinion. What's their opinion? Very fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as long as it helps them to sell, I guess.
Yep. It's interesting. Certificate from Dimitri Gindin recently. Lot 196, a good and rare Spanish violin by Juan Guillami, Barcelona, circa 1780, 15 to 20,000. No bids. I think that is potentially, this could be the lot of the auction from an investment point of view.
I don't know. I mean, people don't talk about these Spanish instruments like that. You see how little even the contrarias go
Yeah.
on these like. But man, I mean, these should worth more than what they're going for. These are, I would say, more stylistically distinct than the Germans or the so-called Low Countries.
I mean, if you're a player in an orchestra or something and you're a bit tight on budget, I think this would serve you very well. You know, for the cost of it, I think that you could potentially be the only bidder on this and get it. I mean, I don't know what the reserve is, but I think you could get this for 15,000, and I think you would be laughing for 15,000.
Some of those are, basically on par with the Italians.
Yeah, definitely.
Cost lower than some Germans.
Yeah, I think this one is definitely an interesting one for sure. Worth keeping an eye on. An Italian violin by Luigi Lanaro, Padua, 1977, 6 to 8,000. Length of back 356. Interesting scroll. Very vibrant color. And we'll move on to the next one. An Italian violin attributed to Vincenzo Lorio, Naples, circa 1845. It's an interesting violin. 356. No bids so far on this one.
These 1800s. Oh, especially these Naples one. That'll look pretty interesting. It's funny, like, they said that by the 1800s, the Italian violin making kind of entered a dark age. But a lot of them actually come from Naples.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're bad, but like other cities kind of stopped making them. Or the French are thriving.
Yeah, so it is an interesting one. A contemporary Italian violin by Dario Aguzzi, Pavia, 2021. Length of back 354. No bids on this one so far.
That's another very recently made. 4,000 to 6,000. I mean, you gotta really want a modern Italian to buy them because if you go on these auctions, you want to buy something older or something at least it makes more sense from what the instrument is, not for like where the maker is from.
Yeah. Yeah. Property of the late Ian White, an English violin by William Forster II, London, circa 1780, 3 to 5,000, no bids, 368 back. Wow, 368 for a violin. That's absolutely huge. Worm damage in scroll, soundpost cracking table with patch. The marked difference in back length between this violin and instruments of a more standard size suggests it might have been made for someone who alternated between violin and viola, as did Ian White, who owned this instrument and used it variously as a viola and a violin.
You can like change the string tension.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to find it a bit difficult to find a buyer for this, but an interesting instrument in any case. And Forster's a really good maker. Really lovely scroll. And onwards. An interesting violin attributed to Joseph Bassot, Paris, circa 1795, 354 back.
That's funny. You would think a basalt worth more because these are people that actually worked with like loophole. Like they're at least like contemporaries. These are like the earliest Strat copiers. Because if you buy a peak or even a font, you're running at 10,000 to 30,000. But you would think a basalt worth more, but I guess this one's not made as fine as the other ones.
It's also attributed to, so maybe they're not 100% sure.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I didn't see. I thought it's by basalt. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, just 3,000, 5,000.
A very interesting violin, probably Italian, first half of 19th century, 15 to 20,000. Length of back 352. Okay, just patch and stuff on that. An Italian violin, Circle of Rivolta, first half of 19th century, 10 to 15,000, length of back 357. No bids on this one. It's because it's a bit long. Lots of repairs there from the condition report. An Italian violin, probably by Antonio Ungarini Fabriano, circa 1750, 357 back. Wow, that's an interesting scroll.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, I like it, I have to say. It's pretty nuts, but yeah, I like it.
It's a good entry point for a 18th century Italian violin.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong, actually, although it's probably by, but also I suspect that people are going to be put off by the fairly long length of it. And then a good English violin by Paul Bailey, London 1890, after Amati, 355.
I love it how they started calling these English violins.
Yeah.
I feel like people want to pay a little more if they call it French. I mean, Paul Bailey really, I mean, he made violins, but of course this is like pretty damn far from a violin. So I don't know what's going on here yet. I mean, it's funny. He even made some in Sydney. Like, would you call him an Australian violin?
Yeah. Well, there's someone's interested in it anyway. Very fine condition, apparently. That's one bid.
This is a bit of like an older Paul Bailey. Some of the early Paul Baileys are just absolutely beautiful. This one, I don't know what he's thinking. Like the F-holes, maybe he's copying someone else.
Yeah. It is a bit curious. An interesting violin attributed to Edward Panormo, London, circa 1840. One bid on that, 7 to 10,000, 757 back. One cracking table, repairs to ribs. Interesting back choice there. Slightly curious. An Italian violin by Carmine di Guanano, Naples, 1961, 5 to 8,000, length back 356, 0 bids.
This one's a bit odd, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. We're probably just offending loads of people here, but we can only say what we think. An Italian violin by Bruno Donna, Padua 2009. We've seen another one by this maker, 356, one bid. Someone's interested.
Yeah, I just think in 2009, you're still making violins that look like this. I hope the original maker doesn't hear this, but like, dude, this is not acceptable.
Well, you might well get in trouble there, but yeah. Well, we should probably move swiftly on. An English violin by Emmanuel Whitmarsh, London, 1908, 1200 to 1800, length of back 360, zero bids, unsurprisingly, really. Yeah, pretty standard. And an Italian violin, probably by Anselmo Coletto, after Enrico Marchetti, 8 to 10,000, 356 back, no bids.
But this one's cool. Like, if I had the money, this would be a kind I get. Yeah, you're very standard early 20th century Italian. Pretty good, pretty well made. Yeah. If you get a good deal on this one, would be nice, but 8,000, 10,000, I think it's just right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this.
A Bohemian violin by Jindrik Zazvonil, Kladno, 700 to 1,000, length of back 363, worm damage, sound post cracking table. Interesting looking scroll though. Very curious purfling.
You know what they should do? Because these volumes are these are nice, but probably so undesirable because of the samples crack. They
Yeah.
should offer this to like some of the winner of the more expensive lots. They like, if I give you this volume,
Yeah, it's an interesting looking violin actually. I quite like it actually. I like the scroll. Yeah, I think that could be quite good if you could get it for like £600. I think it's
I mean,
pretty.
it does have a samples crack, so it's gonna be hard to sell. I mean, you can buy it for 600, you can probably only sell it for 600.
That's true, yeah. An interesting violin, second half of 18th century, 600 to 1,000. Wow, 20 bids on this, but 300 people have been bidding like £1 or something. There's like 20 bids and it's only up to £350. Dimension 355, sound post cracking table with patch, sound post crack in back as well. Nice scroll though.
I mean, people probably think this is a real Gabriele, which I see why they would think that, because Gabriele does make instrument in a bit of this style, but I looked at this maker closely. I don't think this is a Gabriele because his bee stings would go a little longer. I know his corners don't look like this. He has smaller corners.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like Carcassi either. I this probably is just German, but you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe later on I'll come back to this lot, see if this is a real Gabriele.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a real
See,
one. I should probably buy it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm curious to see how much that sells for.
But I've already learned a lesson about back crack, so even if this is real, I'm not getting it.
No, exactly. Here's another famous violin, 3 to 500, labeled C. Pirot, Paris, 358 back, sound post crack in table.
It's just funny that Brompton would sell anything. Like every single option that I have a few with a back crack, bunch of them with a front samples crack. Like Teresa will even start rejecting some of those now.
Mm,
It's, to be honest, it doesn't really affect anything as long as the crack just doesn't keep developing. But you know, it's like they're almost building this perception that you should reject all violins with a back crack.
yeah. Well, I mean, that might be the thoughts now, but then maybe in the future, people find a way to kind of stabilize it better or something. I don't know. And then suddenly everyone's like, well, actually, it doesn't really matter. And then suddenly they're worth a lot more. I don't know. Just kind of theorizing.
Like personally, I don't play a game that long.
Yeah. Um, So a violin, 1,200, labeled George Winterling, Hamburg, 358 is the back there.
Yeah, we've seen a few Winterling, I think.
Yeah, nothing too outrageous there. A violin attributed to Francesco Milani, Rome, 1725, 15 to 20,000. Certificate from Andres Voivod, London, 2014, stating the violin to be the work of Francesco Emiliani and noting that the varnish had been somewhat retouched. 352. That's interesting that there's a certificate from Andres Voivod. So,
What guy famous for?
say again.
What's that person famous for?
Like a very regarded kind of like restorer and appraiser of instruments.
Yeah.
Based in London. So
But somehow Brompton doesn't agree with that assessment.
yeah, that is quite curious. But you know, not everyone agrees on things. So
This is why I think some of these appraiser or certain, these expert, they will certify an instrument based on, you don't, it doesn't have to be that every single detail match with the maker. At least enough detail match, they will certify it as that.
yeah,
Because for Brompton, I think the risk is a little higher because if it's not by the maker, they'll have to give out a refund.
yeah, that's true. Exactly. Yeah.
Because some of these makers, they will copy, an F bowl from another violin or a scroll from another violin. So you may end up having corners very similar, a completely different looking F bowl or completely different looking scroll. But if you're an expert who writes certificates, you're gonna write, in my opinion, on it anyway. There's no like legal. I think the repercussion will be the word for it.
No,
Because
exactly.
with money, so I think they want to be a little more careful.
Mm. Yeah, it makes sense.
But I guess you may as well just sell this as by the maker.
A French violin workshop of Emile Blondelet, Paris, 1933, 3 to 5,000, 358 back, no bids.
Sounds cool.
I think we saw quite a few in some of the previous auctions like this. Nice certificate. Original bridge, interesting. And the certificate from the workshop as well. That's quite interesting. Some good provenance on that one, at least, anyway. An interesting violin, possibly Milan, circa 1800. Length of back 354.
That looks very familiar. Is that a Landolfi? Because I know Landolfi's Milan, that F hole that gets very close to each other. I've seen circa 1800. Interesting.
Well, 3 people are interested in it so far. It's on the bottom estimate, so.
But the scroll doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I mean, do some research on this, I guess. It could be by some big name.
Yeah.
Milan. Oh no, it looks so familiar. I must have seen an instrument looking very similar to this one before.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely worth observing. An Anglo-Dutch violin by George Pine and Peter Vrindt, London, 1882. 362 back, sound post crack in table. No takers so far.
362. Lower the estimate, guys.
Yeah. Quite nice back though, nice varnish. But no takers, sadly. 223, a good Italian violin attributed to and possibly by Johannes Galeano, Naples, first half of 19th century. 357 back. According to the Hill records from 1913, the violin is described as being by Johannes Galeano and bearing an original label cut around.
That's a big patch to the back. And the back sample is cracked. But gotta be honest, that's how you actually stop a back sample is cracked, is to patch up like half of the back.
Yeah. It's also not that visible from the photos anyway, which I guess is good from an aesthetics point of view.
see a little bit of the original crack, but the patch is inside, so obviously it's not visible.
Yeah. They've basically patched that to make sure that if it goes bigger, it's not going to kind of go anywhere, I guess.
Or it could be even other reason, warm damage or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if they still do things like this. I've seen them doing things like it. It really depends. Like it probably differs from restorers to restorers. But interestingly, this one doesn't have a table samples crack.
Mm.
I wonder if maybe the table has been replaced. It's another Galeano table, but it's not made in the same year. Never know.
Yep, and it's quite interesting. A good Italian violin by Carlo Bruno Chirin, circa 1904, after Guadagnini, 7 to 10,000. No bids, 356 back. I quite like this one actually.
This one's cool.
I like the color, I like the back. It's lovely, lovely back. Yeah, nice scroll. Yeah, I like this one actually in its entirety. This is good. Also, the condition doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, not at all. There's a bass part crack, but
Oh yeah, and that's unfortunate. Needs a bit of work actually, looking at it again. But I quite like it. There's something about it. It's quite nice. Interesting. An Italian violin by Laura Vigato, Brescia, 1990, 46,000, 355 back.
this one's pretty good. Pretty nicely made. Very tidy.
Yeah, another more modern Italian. An interesting violin, circa 1870.
Although some knots on the front.
Yeah, like must be an aesthetic choice there for that.
The wood for the back is also pretty interesting one.
Yeah.
Got crack going on, some grafts. The button has been replaced. Some funny looking pins.
Yeah.
There are actually some black linings added to the scroll, or I think it was there originally too. Could it be an actual Guadagnini? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, it is circa 1870.
Yeah. Well, 3 people are interested in that. It's at the bottom of the estimate. Yeah, exactly. Property of the late David Stevenson, the ex-Finkel, an important Italian violin by Giovanni Battista Guadagnini, Milan, 1751. 400,000 is your starting bid on this one.
Got a real Guadagnini. This one's
355 back. Yeah, a lot of information there.
Unfortunately, the F-holes have been messed with, and so it looks quite odd, and a lot of the red varnishes have been worn down. But that scroll is very characteristic to Guadagnini, like early Guadagnini. You can see on the certificate, a lot of the red varnish still exists. It's still probably there, but the photography is making it look.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, isn't it? Like we say, that their photography is kind of removing some of these bits.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Obviously, probably the top lot in this whole auction, I think. We've only got a few more things left to go.
If they want to bid on this one, I was thinking it probably should go a little higher than 400.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably 500 to 600 or something, I would have thought.
Condition wise, really not the best. There's some big cracks on the back.
Yeah.
But for an instrument this level, they've all been pretty. Actually, it's funny. Like even in the video, you can see the violin look a lot more red than it is in the pictures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there's just one Peter Biddle certificate from 2008.
Yeah.
Damn, they wrote stuff. I don't want to read all of these, but man, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's curious.
There's even a monograph, like a PDF you can download.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of information. Oh yeah, Peter Ratcliffe Dendro, 1747 and 1745, which match,
Sorry,
I just
go
saying
ahead.
matches with other Del Jesus and Storioni, Guadagnini, Landolfi, or with examples of Del Jezzi.
If you click download monograph, there's a pretty interesting brochure on there.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, it's a full on yeah, look at that, that's fancy. You can keep that for your monograph collection.
Print it
Okay.
out.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely a fine violin. Another fine Italian violin by Niccolo Bergonzi, Cremona, circa 1795, 359 back. That's quite large. Certificate from Kenneth Warren and Sons, Chicago, 2013.
Yeah, I like this one. I actually like this one better than the Guadagnini. It's in a, I think it's in a better condition. And oh damn, there's not even the samples back. And these F holes are clearly Da Gesù inspired, and there has been very well documented connection between Bergonzi and the Guarneri family.
Mm.
Yeah, this is probably I don't know why it's only 80,000 to 12, 80,000 to 120,000.
Yeah,
I think it's a little too long, 359, but come on. I'll take a 359 Bergonzi any day.
yeah, it is quite long, I suppose. That must be what definitely a factor on it.
It's an outlier, I guess.
Mm.
It's
But
interesting.
a nice looking thing.
It's in such good condition.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's in wonderful condition. For its age, it's pretty mad, really.
The estimate is way too low. What's going on here? Like you can sell this in the millions for private sale. I guess like we said, it's the wrong length for a
Yeah,
Bergonzi. Bergonzi, you want 352 or 353.
yeah, unfortunately. So, a fine and important Italian violin by Joseph Filius Andrea Guarneri, Cremona, 1693.
It's like
450,000 will get you this. Well, maybe. 354 back. Dendro, 1689 and 1680. Links with Strads, Grancino, Ruggeri's. Wow.
yeah. Well, this is my favorite. I would say. The best part about Filius Andrea is that if you look at the scroll, there like no one else in entire Italy makes scrolls that look like this. Like these scrolls are just that little extra cuts is almost like his signature. I at this point I even feel like that he did it intentionally. Because for Filius Andrea, the best part is that you can just look at a scroll. I'm like, yeah, that's a Filius Andrea.
Mm.
And a lot of the Jesus have Filius Andrea scrolls.
Charles Beer certificate from 2018. So it's got all its documentation.
It's
Had
very good.
Yeah, it's had a lot of repairs and things though. Very well restored. I think that's the key really with these older instruments. As long as they're very well restored, then you're going to be kind of okay.
These button replacements somehow are very common. I've seen
Mm.
Strat happen, but like how like the entire top of the belly has been grafted as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely quite curious, that one. But yeah, no, a very fine instrument, but no bids on it so far. I mean, I'm not sure if this will sell. I've been curious to see, but
Well done that you can barely even see the grain mismatch for that entire area that's been replaced. If you zoom all the way into the front,
mm.
you can see that even the grains like they match each other. This is some like really talented restorer we're talking about here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you have to at this level of an instrument, you need to be employing the top people, but that's why it's so expensive. So
It's just like imagine if you discover a few someday. I mean, there's no way I can afford to even restoring one of them.
well, that's the thing, we'll pay the insurance. I think that's the issue. But yeah, well, so that's it really. That's the end of the auction. I think an interesting one. Lots of things, lots of interesting stuff all over the place. Some good potential opportunities and some potential kind of unknowns. But yeah, I think it's been a good auction, good photos, some interesting kind of vagueness as we sometimes get from Bromptons, but I guess they're kind of covering themselves. Max, do you have anything to say to sign off on?
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, in my opinion, the best investment will be the Bergonzi if you have the money. Uh, 80,000, 120,000. The 228, yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. It looks like, it's like a Dejesu inspired F hole. Could even be, College Precipitatory. Um, very funny. The Fidelis Andrea is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good ones. I'm kind of not really sure which one anymore, to be honest, but I think it's been, yeah, I think it's a good auction.
And if I have the money, sorry, I have the money. If I have the time, I'll try to figure out who made that Lott 221. I mean, it could be a test. It's funny. It's hard to tell.
221. Yeah. Yeah, we'd be curious to know.
I mean, now I realize actually, because it did ring a bell in my memory. I'm probably thinking of a Testore. I'm not sure because they did says 1800, so hard to say.
Hmm.
But yeah, good. Only 2,000 to 4,000. That's I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, definitely potential on that one. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Some definitely valuable things, some potential things, some bit of unknowns, but no, I think it's been a good auction. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. It finishes tomorrow. Some things finishing at 1 p.m. UK time, and then a little bit after that. Check out the auction if you're interested. So thanks to Max for joining us on this again, and thanks for anyone that's watching this video, and we'll catch you next time to look at more violins. So from me, I'm going to say bye and ciao for now.
Bye, everyone. See you guys next time.
Ciao. Goodbye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.